Let's begin and let's talk about working in the US. I do want to say, I know there have been a lot of questions today about changes to employment that are coming down the pike. There are these new regulations that are coming into effect September 15th. And there's some new guidance that we've received about CPT, curricular practical training, just last week. I want to address that here, like that specific change to CPT here quickly. You may have heard we have put a pause on the vast majority of CPT authorizations at Berkeley. It is meant to be a temporary pause. How temporary? It's a little tricky to say, but we are in conversations, or our director is in conversation with other directors at peer organizations and other UC universities, as well as with attorneys who represent the university to understand what paths forward we have. We are expecting to email students, including new students, in the coming days with kind of updated ideas and information around CPT and what is likely allowable at this point. Please wait for that in terms of, like what CPT will or won't be allowed going forward. I know there are some questions about whether you could use pre-completion OPT in place of CPT. That's tricky. We want to first see what it is that our director comes up with in terms of new policies, and see how that helps ease some trickiness here. At that point, then we could consider pre-completion of PT in some cases, but I want to say in advance, that's not a viable solution for most people in most cases because of how much it costs, how long it takes to get authorized for it, and what restrictions there are on pre-completion OPT and how it affects post-completion OPT. All of that said, and all of that kind of aside, today's presentation is meant to focus on, generally speaking, working in the US, with the caveat that some of the CPT stuff is under transition. I'll try to point out those spots to you as we go. Let's begin. Let's first talk about on-campus employment. The basics here are that F1 students do not need work authorization to work on campus, but J1 students do. J1 students need authorization to work in the US no matter what, on or off campus. F1 students, you don't need authorization to work on campus. That means on campus here means your employer is UC Berkeley. There are a few little groups that are associated with Berkeley that you might work with, but generally your employer is UC Berkeley. How much can you work? In a required term of study, where you're required to study full-time, so that's like a fall or spring, then you can only work part-time. And the opposite is the case. If you're in a break period where you don't have any required full-time enrollment, you don't have to be enrolled at all, or you can enroll as much as you'd like or as little as you like. But then you may work full-time if you'd like. So in most summers, for example, you could work full-time on campus. One exception, if summer is going to be your final term, that means summer is a required term for that final summer. Let's see, for those of you who may have just recently changed status to F or J, you need to wait until you have that change of status approval from USCIS before you can begin. F1 students, you can begin to work on campus 30 days before your program start date, and once your CBIS record is activated. J1 students, you can begin working on campus once you reach the start date of your DS 2019, and during the dates that we authorize you for on-campus work. J1 students, this link here, maybe I could have Wasim or someone else from Bio pop these links into the chat. J1 students who want to work on campus, please give us 5 business days advance notice and fill out this form here asking for approval to work on campus. We will fill out that form on our end. We will add the employment authorization to your CBIS record, and we'll send that form back to you with our signature or endorsement. Although we put on-campus work into your CBIS record, it doesn't print out on your DS 2019. So there's no official printout of that that's going to come onto your DS 2019. The paper that we endorse and give back to you is your proof that we've authorized you for work, and you can use that to apply for a Social Security number. There are more details here. I'll ask my colleagues to drop this into the chat. Let's talk off-campus employment. Oops. Oh man, I hate these jumpy things. Sorry. Okay. Every single person, F or J status, must get bio authorization to work off campus. That means for an employer that is not UC Berkeley. Absolutely every time. And off-campus work always has to be in your field of study. So could you work at a movie theater here in Berkeley to make extra money, or work at a restaurant here in Berkeley to make extra money? You may not. You must only work off campus in your field for the purpose of kind of academic learning, or like learning about your field of study in the actual field. And you must receive authorization before you begin. Take a look at this chart. I'm going to this is F1 information. There are a few types of employment. CPT in the blue is curricular practical training. That's off-campus employment before you graduate. After you graduate is OPT, optional practical training. And for many of you who have a STEM eligible degree, you would also be able to apply for a 2-year extension of OPT called the STEM OPT extension. So CPT is for work before you graduate. OPT and potentially STEM OPT is for work after you graduate. I'm going to kind of let you slide your eyes down this chart, but I want you to note that generally speaking, CPT is something bio it authorizes. CPT is something that we at bio can approve you for when we're approving it. I know that the current issues notwithstanding, and we'll talk about those more in a moment. OPT is something that we at bio recommend you for. So we'll add a recommendation to your CBIS record, but then you actually have to apply to the government, to USCIS, to ask for approval for OPT. While on OPT and STEM OPT, you're still considered an F1 student, and you are still sponsored by us at bio, even though you will have graduated. Let me move on here. Let's talk about CPT. So curricular practical training, as I mentioned, there's a temporary pause. So this is brand new information. As of last week, we received a memo from ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, offering new guidance on CPT. The guidance states that curricular practical training can only be used in cases where a degree program requires an internship for all students, requires it for all students. So that's different than the idea of the work is integral or, directly related to your major. If your degree program does not require an internship for every student in the degree program, at this point, we have paused CPT for you. If you're a master's degree, generally it's students in professional master's degree programs whose program of study requires an internship. That's called degree requirement CPT. For students in those programs, we will still authorize CPT in accord with what your department has told us is the requirement. Did they say there's a requirement for you to work in your 3rd term? Then you'll be approved to work in your 3rd term. Did they say that there's a requirement that you work part-time in your 2nd term? Then that's what you'll be approved to do. We do expect the pause on other types of CPT called course credit CPT, where the internship is not required for your degree, but is an integral part or a deeply related part of your degree, or something that enhances your degree. We do expect course credit CPT to be available in some way potentially in the coming semester, but I can't say more about that. We don't know right now. We're still in conversation with our partner organizations and attorneys. We want to make a choice that is protective of you. I know this is deeply frustrating. Our goal at bio is always to protect your immigration record. So for right now, that course credit CPT is paused. Okay. Okay, let's talk about CPT basics. Okay. All these clicky buttons make me really frustrated. Sorry. Okay, so CPT is off-campus employment in your field of study. On page 2 of your I-20, The authorization will be there if we've approved you for it, so you can prove that you've been authorized. Generally speaking, you need to have completed 2 semesters of full-time study in order to be eligible for CPT. There are some things around the edges with that statement that are going to be changing in the coming weeks, I expect. So please look out for emails from us on that point. As I mentioned, there's 2 types of CPT. Degree requirement CPT is something where every student in that degree program is required by the degree program to have an internship. Every other type of CPT, even for PhDs who are doing employment related to their dissertation, that's called course credit CPT. You enroll in a unit of fieldwork study or independent study, and you're getting that unit of credit because of the work you're doing. CPT is approved on a semester by semester basis and a job by job basis. How many hours can you work? The same information I mentioned about on-campus employment applies here. In a required term of study, like fall and spring, you must be enrolled full-time and you can only work part-time. In a non-required term like summers, you can work part or full-time as you prefer. Exception, if summer is your final term of study, then summer becomes a required term of study with full-time enrollment, and you may only work part-time. Okay. The process to apply is as follows. Get the job offer, complete our CPT application online. In that application, you'll be asked to upload your job offer letter, and you'll be asked to type in your advisor, your departmental advisor's email. That form will be sent to them. The departmental advisor will say, yep, this job is related to the student's field of study. That will come back to us. We'll ensure that in terms of your immigration record, you're eligible for CPT. If you are, we will authorize you and you go to work in accord with the information on your I-20 related to CPT. Would somebody please drop the CPT link in the chat? There is a section on our page that on that CPT page that lists all of the degrees that have degree requirement CPT. These are by and large master's degree programs, a few PhD programs. They do not include undergraduate programs. I'm really sorry. Okay, let's talk about OPT. That is work for F1 students after you graduate. Optional practical training is for those who have graduated in F1 status. If you have completed at least 2 semesters of study and you end your study in F1 status. You cannot have OPT at a same level that you've had it before. So if you've had a bachelor's degree and you, at the end of that bachelor's degree, you got OPT, and now you're doing another bachelor's degree, you will not be eligible for OPT again because you did OPT at a bachelor's level. So you always have to do OPT at a next or higher level. OPT work must be directly related to your major, and it must be at least 20 hours a week, paid or unpaid. When you request OPT, you tell USCIS the date that you want to start working. Given the new regulations that are starting in mid-September, I'm going to say that you need to request an OPT start date within 30 days of your program end date. You will request a date and hopefully USCIS will give it to you, but they may give you a different start date. You can start working when the USCIS sends you an EAD, an employment authorization document. It's a little card that you could put in your wallet like a credit card size, and it will have a start date on it. Again, it might be the date you requested, it might be different. When you have the card in hand and have reached a start date on it, you can begin working anywhere in the US in your field of study as long as it's 20 hours or more per week, paid or unpaid. We do have a reporting system here at Bio so that when you're, and so we need to always be able to report your job to your immigration record. We will still be your immigration sponsor. So you'll be adding information to this reporting system after you graduate. We'll be updating the reporting, your CBIS record via that reporting system. You can apply for OPT starting up to 90 days before your program end date. So here's your final semester of study. In the last 90 days, you can apply for OPT. And you need to do this from within the US while your feet are in the US. If your feet are still in the US on your last day of study and you have not yet applied for OPT, you'll still have 30 more days to do that while you are in the US. If you depart the US during this grace period, and you have not applied for OPT, you forfeit OPT and you forfeit F1 status, okay? Major alerts. This is for those of you who are in relatively short programs, just of a few semesters of length. So maybe some of you coming in on master's degree programs, or who are going to be, you've transferred in and you're going to graduate in spring 2027. These sorts of transition benefits apply to you. So the new regulations coming online September 15th. If you are in the US on September 15th, you do not depart the US after that. And you apply for OPT on time. So for fall graduates, that's within 30 days of your fall end date. Or for spring graduates, this is interesting. For spring graduates, your window to apply for OPT is the last 90 days of the spring semester, starting mid-February. Although you can apply all the way through the end of your spring term, if you will apply super early by March 18th, and you were here on the 15th of September, and you didn't depart over the winter break, then those two groups would not need to apply also to extend your stay in the US. Note that the new regulation kind of uncouples the idea of you get a work authorization for OPT and therefore you get to stay. No longer the case under this new rule. You'll get a work authorization and you'll need to extend your stay. But if you are under the transitional provisions that are written here, in by September 15th, don't leave, apply for OPT on time and by March 18th, then you do just get to only apply for OPT. And with that OPT EAD comes the idea that you get to remain without having to do some separate extension of stay. If you depart the US after September 15th, you don't get that transitional benefit anymore. You then have to apply to extend your stay when you apply for OPT, or travel out and back into the US to kind of get that extension. Erin has kind of talked about this a little bit with you in her previous presentation, so I won't belabor this too much, but I think it's extremely important that you focus on what changes like travel are going to do for you, or what changes like extending your program or delaying your graduation might do for you in terms of where you'll fall in these regulations and any transitions that might be granted to you. Let's talk about J1 academic training. So a few things for J1s to understand, different than what you've just seen for F1s. So F1 students have one type of employment authorization before they graduate and another set for after they graduate. Not so for J1s. J1s have, if they want to work off campus, or if they want to work off campus before they graduate, so here's your, here's where you graduate, say. Before you graduate, if you want to work off campus, you do so through academic training. After you graduate, any time or any place you want to work in the US, on or off campus, that's also through academic training. So you have one type of employment authorization for work in the US, and that's AT, that is outside of on-campus employment. So pre-graduation AT is used for off-campus work. Post-graduation AT is used for any work in the US. Academic training employers are listed on your DS-2019. So when you apply for academic training, we at Bio will be adding that employer to your CBIS record, and that does print on your DS-2019. We'll be updating that document and emailing it out to you. You may start, academic training is in your field of study. You remain our student. You're still sponsored by us at Bio. And you can begin working once you have your DS-2019 in hand and have reached a start date on that document. Let's see, authorization for AT is also per job. So we don't give you like a long run of AT and you can kind of start and stop different jobs. Every job that you take on academic training requires a new application. To work on academic, or to be eligible for academic training, you need to be a J1 degree-seeking student or a UC-EAP student. You need to have completed one semester of full-time study, and you need to have a job offer in hand before you can get authorization. The job has to be related to your major field of study. And don't forget, J1s and your J2 dependents always, this is a federal regulation, not just a UC Berkeley requirement. you have to have health insurance for the duration of your status, and that includes while you're on academic training. How many hours can you work? You've heard this before in this presentation. In a required term of study like fall and spring, where you have to be enrolled full-time, you may only work part-time, 1 to 20 hours. In non-required vacations, you may work as much as you'd like up to full-time. Summers that are final terms are considered required terms of study. There are some of you who are in J1 status who do have a degree required internship. For you, we are able to approve J1 academic training for the way that your department has required. For example, if your department requires in some spring semester that you work full-time, we can approve that. We will approve academic training in accord with what your department says is the requirement for your degree. Okay, let's talk about the AT application process. You get the job or internship offer, complete an academic training application for us, include a job letter. Take that to your academic departmental advisor. They are the ones who have the knowledge to say, yes, this job is related to the student's field of study. Once you've gotten their signature on this, bring all of that back to bio. We will make sure that in terms of your immigration record, you're eligible to work. We will add the the employer information to your CBIS record, and we'll prepare you an updated DS 2019. You can go to work in accord with what's written on your DS 2019 at a particular job for particular days and particular number of hours per week. More information here. Maybe someone can drop that in the chat for us. This is all new information. This is Erin has talked to you about this in previous presentations, but I'll do a little overview here as well. As I mentioned, or as you know, starting September 15th, how long you can remain in the US kind of will shift to new rules. There are particular rules for extending your stay that affect your ability to work in the US. If under new rules, when you apply for an extension of stay with USCIS, there's a limit on how long you can continue to work on campus while that EOS is pending. There's a 240-day work authorization while the extension of stay is pending if you've filed before your I-20 expires. This includes, so that 240-day extension is for on-campus and CPT authorization. If you, as an F1 student, file for extension of stay in your grace period, so after your program end date, you don't receive that 240-day automatic extension of employment. The takeaway here is to apply for extension of stay well before your program end date. So here's some, last semester on your program, on your I-20 program, and your program end date is here. You're able to apply for extension of stay months ahead of that. Please do it. If you think you're going to need to extend your stay, talk with bio. We can, the mechanism here is a little unclear to us, but it sounds like we'll be able to kind of recommend you for some further out program end date. And then with that I-20, with that recommendation of a new program end date, you can apply to USCIS for an extension of stay. Please do that well in advance of the program end date so that you can take advantage of that 240-day interim work authorization. This 240-day interim work authorization is for on-campus and CPT employment for F1 students. It's not for OPT. That's different rules for OPT. J1 students, this extension of stay rule applies to you, but it's slightly different. J1 students, if you'll apply either by your program end date or in the grace period, the 30-day grace period that you get, you will get that 240-day interim extension to continue working on campus and on J1 academic training. I can't say enough here. You may have caught the subtle differences between F and J1. It is so crucial that you not flip what you hear about one status for your own status. There's a subtle difference there. I want you to focus in on what I said about your status. let's see, transition. If you're doing an extension of stay on or before March 18th, you can continue working to the end of your DS 2019 while the extension is pending. Final little section. Those of you who are wondering about Social Security numbers, the Social Security number is a tax ID number. It is not a work authorization. Do you need a Social Security number to begin working? No, you do not. But many employers will want you to have one because it makes their payroll and HR processing easier. You do need a Social Security number to file US taxes for years that you have worked for pay in the US. If you work for pay in the US in the year 2026, then in early 2027, you'll need to file taxes and you'll need a Social Security number to do that. Note if you don't work this year, you still have to file taxes as an F or J1 student, but you don't need a social to do it. Okay. The rules here for who needs a Social Security number are different for F and J1 students. F1 students, you are only eligible for a Social Security number if you're employed. So if you're working an on-campus job or if you're going to be working on CPT or OPT. If you're F1 students, if you're receiving non-service fellowships, scholarships, or grants in excess of tuition and fees, these things might be taxable. That is, you're going to have to report them on your taxes next year, and you might need a tax ID number for that. You will not be eligible for a Social Security number unless you have a paid job. So you would need to get what's called an ITIN, Individual Tax Identification Number. We at Bio can help you with that process. J students, the rules are a little different. If you are working on campus, working off campus through academic training, or receiving a fellowship or stipend from the university with or without employment, you are eligible for a Social Security number. Prior authorization is required for all of those things. So J students, anytime you're getting money, whether through a job or through a fellowship or a stipend of any type, we have to authorize that and add that to your DS 2019. But then once you've got that, you're eligible for a Social Security number. Let's hear from Jing Han at Berkeley Career Engagement.
Yeah, and before we get to that, first of all, thank you so much, Catherine, because that was a lot of information.
It was so much.
Yes, thanks so much. We are going to introduce Jing Han. Thank you guys for showing your appreciation to Catherine. I'm actually going to share my screen so that I can share some slides that Jing Han has very kindly prepared for us. And Jing, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Wasim. Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everyone. So good to see you all. My name is Jing Han. You can call me Jing. I work for Berkeley Career Engagement. Yeah, thank you, Wasim, for the slides. So yeah, Berkeley Career Engagement, we are basically the career service of the university. So we are high chance your career support down the way when you are looking for on-campus experience or internship, job search, etc. Okay. So I'm going to use the 5 minutes I have to introduce you the major services and resources we have for you, especially for international student and first-year student. Okay. So when you, as you can see on the slide, Berkeley Career Engagement, that's the full name of the office. We're located on the south edge of the campus. To the opposite of the Student Union Martin Luther King building. So we're off campus, but very close, accessible. That's where we are. And then for the BCE, we have a full-time career education team to coach students on career development, internship, job search. We also have an employer relation team to help employers recruit Berkeley students and develop more internship and job opportunity. So that's who we are. We're looking forward to seeing you more on campus. And then I'm the one designated for international students. So that's my role at BCE. So good to see you all today. Hope to see you more on campus through my appointment and my events. Okay. Yeah, so the number one thing I want to introduce you is Handshake. Many of you probably got emails about Handshake. That's the career system we're using here to number one, for you to access the services of BCE, one-on-one appointment, career events, online resources, etc. And number two, that's also the system for you to access all the internship job postings and the company info sessions, career fair, all kinds of networking recruiting events, and also other services like uploading your resumes for employers and then talking to alumni out of the company you're interested in. So Handshake, one-stop shop career system for you to access the services and the job opportunity. So when you get an email about Handshake, make sure you log in, play around, get familiar with it. You will use it a lot, okay, down the way. All right, and the next slide. Yes, so besides Handshake, Berkeley Career Engagement, yeah, we are providing one-on-one career appointments. You can register or make appointment on Handshake, and then those are 30 minutes in-person or virtual on Zoom appointments. We can talk to you about your specific questions, needs, right, in your internship job search or career questions. So when you are making appointments, you have access to the counselor serving your college and school. And you also have counselor like me serving certain population. For example, international students. You have multiple choices there, okay? If you're a first year, if you don't declare a major yet, you have access to everyone, okay? For you to like really get insights about different career fields. All right, so the next slide. Besides the one-on-one appointments, every semester, especially during the peak time for campus recruiting, my office, we're also providing a lot of career events. Some are workshops teaching you about internship job search. Some are events connecting you with employers, alumni, professionals, networking, recruiting events, and career fair. So all of them are also posted on Handshake. So if you log into your Handshake, go to the events section as I circled on the slide, and then you will see the events by different types, by week, and then you can search them in different ways. And you can find my workshops planned for international students there as well. So one advice I have is maybe check the events by week so you can plan your time and see what are the ones available next week, which one I should go. So yeah, those can be very good events for you to go to talk to employers and professionals in the field you're interested in. Okay, and then the next slide is this is a list of the career fairs we are providing this fall. Career fair is still one of the major ways for employers to connect with students. So those are the ones we're holding this coming fall. And even though for those of you who are first year, right, who are starting your program at Berkeley here, you can still go to the career fair and then talk to employers to learn about like different career fields, the opportunity they provide, what they do. So that can be information gathering for you as well. It's okay for you to leverage those in that way. Okay, and then the next slide, those are two events specifically for first year students. So the one on the left is called Get Career Ready, How to Start Your First Year. So this is like two virtual sessions we're providing on Zoom. You can log on to Zoom anytime and then ask quick questions you have about career exploration, how to write a resume in a college style here, right? How to start with my on-campus job search or internship search. Any questions you have can be helped there. So it's like a virtual session, drop in, first come, first serve kind of thing. Okay, so you can see the info, specific info about the two sessions, and then you can register by logging, following the register link I put on the slide for you to register. And then the one on the right is a resume lab series. We know you may want to convert your resume from high school version to a college version, or just make sure it's ready to go, right, for any internship job search at the beginning of the semester. So you can attend one of the resume labs. We're going to teach you how to do a resume in the US style and also help you along the way you are writing. Or if you have a draft, we can give you feedback, right, on the resume. So again, you can register for those on Handshake as well. Okay, all right, and then the next slide, besides the one-on-one appointment events, BCE, we also have a website where we have a wealth of different information 24/7 available for you to check before you even meet with a counselor. So for example, we have instruction samples about resumes for different majors, different degrees, and different situations like transfer students. So you can check the sample before you meet a counselor, right? For more tailored feedback. And then on the website, we have one page designated to international student population. Okay, so on that page, you can find information resources based on different post-graduation plan, job search resources for US job search, resources for job search beyond the US, including your home country, and graduate school professional program application, etc. Okay, way more information resources for international students. So check out the page. You will get a lot of information there before you meet with me. Okay, and then the next slide. Besides the online information, BCE, we also do career mail. Basically, they're weekly or bi-weekly mass email summarizing relevant jobs, internships, career events, on-campus, off-campus resources for the career field or for the population you pick. I'm the one doing career mail for international students. So welcome to sign up so you can get updates bi-weekly from me about, right, event, jobs, information relevant to international population. You can do so by going to your handshake, click on the name, your name, and then click on micro interests, and then answer the question among the right question list under career interests. So you can pick the topics you're interested in, either for international student or for the career field you're interested in to get those career mail. So those are the major resources we're providing every semester. So yeah, feel free to check them out. The last page will be our social media channels. Feel free to scan the QR code and then follow us on Instagram, YouTube, etc. So we look forward to see you more this semester on campus. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy orientation. Best of luck. I hope to see you more.